Hey, this is Chase from Fixer Fabulous. Welcome to the workshop. Let's get to work. I'm going to show you some DIYs and kind of how-tos. So, what I use a lot on my projects is epoxy, whether it be to fill knot holes or you can actually do inlays with them. It's a fairly simple process. It's a love-hate relationship, as you'll find out as you keep playing with it. But you can get different mixes. I prefer a 24-hour drying epoxy because it's a slower cure time and it allows for the bubbles, which I'll show you, come up real slow. What I use is just a 50-50 mix, and I've done as simple as I've just marked in there an inch and a half, and an inch and a half. There's little marks in there. So I can do an actual 50-50 mix, combine them, stir it, and then you have your epoxy, it'll start setting. Comes clear, but you can add just simple colors. And it can be makeup pigments, or you can actually buy the pigments that are made for epoxy. Any color you can imagine. Golds, blues, there's actually glow in the dark pigments. And they make really fun projects for kids. These are the basic things that I use. So I got my pigments, mixing cups, my epoxy, my tape, wax, and a heat gun. And I will show you how all that works. So just a sample piece to kind of show you guys how it works. I just drill a hole in this scrap piece of lumber. When you do this, you want to be as dust free. So whenever I'm doing it in the shop, as you can see, it's dusty. It's the last thing I do before I leave. So there's no more dust that's rolling around in the air. So you go ahead, since this is a long curing epoxy, I just go ahead and mix it up. Like I said, it's a simple process, but it's a love-hate, because you will think you have it perfect. You come back the next morning and you got bubbles, or you didn't do enough, or your epoxy found a crack and it just leaked in there. So I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks to kind of relieve that. So this is going to be my top side. So what I try to do, my top side, wax. It should be in every shop, every house. It's very important. I'll actually put wax around this hole, and what that does, it keeps the epoxy from actually curing and setting onto your finished product. Makes it a lot easier. You can actually chisel it up, it'll pop right up, sand right off. So I treat the surface area with wax, and then if I pour epoxy in that, it's going to go right through it. So I come back on the back side. On smaller holes and cracks, tape is fine. On bigger epoxy jobs, you'll have to get it's called melamine, but it's like a plywood that has a plastic coating on it, and epoxy won't adhere to it. Kind of the same concept as the wax. So it's just simple as taping the bottom of it. So hopefully we don't lose any of that epoxy. If we lose it, we're coming back the next day and we're doing it again. So we got the surface prepped. We're just gonna mix our 50-50. And this is the point. If you want to add color, you can. So just for the heck of it, let's do pink today. A little bit goes a long way. Now you want to make sure that you mix this really, really well. If not, it won't cure properly. I have a nice pink epoxy. My daughter would love this. No, it's just simple as you pour in your hole this time, but you can do a kerf cut with a saw and do a pink inlay. Or if you got big gnarly cracks and rotted wood, you could do pink in between it or whatever color, but you put epoxy in between it to join it and just give it that little custom jazz. I just kind of want to fill it. I'll try to fill it just a little bit over, because once it cures, we're gonna come back and sand it. Now, the heat gun. As you can see, there's bubbles in there right now. So the heat gun is gonna help take out the bubbles. And if you're filling up knots, this stuff is going to find every nook and cranny. So you want to lower the viscosity of it so it can actually find those nooks and crannies, so you can keep adding the epoxy as it goes deeper in the wood. So this will take out all the bubbles. You can kind of see them popping right now. You see how it's running right now? It's making the viscosity of it lower so it can actually find all the nooks and crannies. You see all the bubbles are coming up right now. Usually I'll give it a little hit. I'll let it set for a little bit since it's a 24-hour epoxy. I'll keep an eye on it, see if it's shrinking down or if I need to add more, and then I'll hit it again every now and then. Make sure all the bubbles are out. They're going to slowly rise through the night, but you want to try to get them out now, so if you need to add more, you can. And this is where the love-hate starts. I think I have a perfect piece. I hope I have a perfect piece. I won't find until tomorrow. And if it's not perfect, I got to wait another 24 hours for it to cure. It's pretty simple. Good luck. And like I always say, is don't be afraid to try new things. That's how I've learned everything, is trying. It's just a mistake if you mess up, so just keep trying. All right, so this is actually a piece I've done for epoxy. I poured all this last night. It's set. It's set really well. There's no bubbles. So now I'll come back in and I'll sand it after I pulled my tape and everything. So I was gonna come back and sand it flush real quick. So that was just an 80 grit, real rough, just to knock off a lot. I'm gonna switch to a 120 real quick and switch to a random orbital to try to take out any scratch marks. And I'll put a quick little lacquer coat on it so you can see actually how it looks. Now it's nice and smooth. All scratch marks are going to be pretty much out. So now I'm going to get some lacquer and I'll spray over it and we can see it's going to be clear again. But really pretty much any kind of finish over it. You can do wax, lacquers, urethanes, any kind of finish will take to it. That's kind of when you do this real quick to show you what happens when you put a finish on it. So it went back clear and you can actually see all the character of the wood still in there, the knot holes. This makes for a beautiful custom, just little pizzazz to it, I guess you'd say. Just helps with that custom piece. So that's pretty much the basics of epoxy. It's pretty simple, just go out there and try and have fun.